Welcome to Learn to Read Thai video tutorial 3. No introduction today, I'll just get on with things and I'll have my usual assistant Pom to help me with pronunciation. As you probably know, Thai is a tonal language, which means that the same basic sounds spoken with a different tone have different meanings. Let me demonstrate. Take the basic sound ma, it's an M with a long R. And listen to the way that Pom pronounces it in 3 different ways. The first is this one.
Ma.
So that just has a mid-tone and it means come. Next example is number 3.
Ma.
You should have heard that has a higher tone and it means horse. And the third example is number 5.
Ma.
Okay, that's the informal word for dog. The more formal word is sunak, and that has a rising tone. And to demonstrate the low and falling tones, we'll use the basic sound mai.
My.
That's a low tone, and this one has a falling tone.
My.
Okay, probably the best way to describe this is that a mid-tone is just like a normally spoken voice. High and low, just speak with a higher or lower tone. A rising tone is often used by English speakers when we ask a question, apart from Australians who tend to use a rising tone in most sentences. And a falling tone is as if you're calling someone from a long distance. It starts off high and then it drops. It's like John. You can hear the drop in tone. Tones are extremely important in Thai. And it's one of the things that foreigners have a lot of difficulty with. The grammar is quite straightforward, but getting the tones right can be very difficult. Despite having said that, I'm not going to do anything on tones at this stage of the tutorials. I assume that most of my audience are complete beginners, and you're faced with a completely new script, and you need to understand the basic sounds of the vowels and consonants. That's quite a lot to contend with. If I start adding on tone rules as well, I think it's going to be too much. So what I'm going to do is just all the basic sounds first, and then once that's out of the way, we'll do some tones. However, when I'm writing, I'll need to make sure the spelling is correct, and we'll come across tone marks. So I just want to explain those so they don't confuse you. And in Thai, there are 4 tone marks. The ones written here. I'll just get Pom to pronounce their names for you.
ไม้เอกไม้โทไม้ตรี
The first 2 are very common. You see those all the time. The third and the fourth ones are not so common, but they do come up occasionally. The other thing about tones I should mention is that when we're doing the consonants, you will notice that a lot of Thai consonants have the same sound. In fact, I'm going to introduce 2 today that have the same sound. And the reason for that is also to do with tones. One of the key factors in determining the tone of a word or a syllable is the class of the initial consonant. So although 2 consonants might have the same sound, they'll have a different class, and therefore the tone of the word will be different. Originally, Thai had 5 K consonants. Yes, you heard that one right, 5. 2 are now obsolete, kor, kon, and kor, kuat. They're still taught at Thai schools, and they're still included in when you see the list of consonants in Thai. I guess that's because Thais might read old texts that still have them and need to know what they are. But I virtually never see them. There's another K, which is still current. It's not obsolete, this one. But it's not used very often, so I'm not going to bother with that at the moment. The two that are left are used quite commonly, in fact very commonly. So they're the ones we're going to do today. We have ko kwai and ko kai. I'll get Pom to say that for you.
คอควายคอควายคอควายขอไข่ขอไข่ขอไข่
Okay, ko kwai means buffalo, and it's a low class consonant, but don't worry about that. And ko kai means egg. That's a high class consonant. So those are the two consonants I'm going to introduce today. They both make a K sound as an initial consonant and a K sound as a final consonant. There are lots of words in Thai that end with a K sound, but interestingly, the K consonants aren't used. Normally, when a Thai word ends with a K sound, they normally use the Gorgai character to indicate the unreleased K. Also today, I'm going to introduce a consonant that makes a Y sound. This one here, Y as an initial, Y as a final. And this one is known as Yor Yak, which means giant.
ยอยักษ์ยอยักษ์ยอยักษ์
I'm also going to introduce two vowels, and both of these vowels perform exactly the same function in Thai. They make a short AI sound. Using the format that we used previously, they're known as like Sara I. Because there's two, they have individual names. So the first one is known as Sara I Mai Malai, and the second one is known as Sara I Mai Muan. I'll get Pom to give you the correct pronunciation.
สระไอไม้มะลายสระไอไม้มะลายสระไอไม้มะลายสระไอไม้ม้วนสระไอไม้ม้วนสระไอไม้ม้วน
As I said, these two vowels perform exactly the same function, except that the second one, Sara I Mai Muan, is only used for about 20 words in Thai. This one is more common and used for all the other words. The next thing I need to talk about is the position of different Thai vowels. In English, the vowels are always written after the consonant, but in Thai, that's not the case. In the previous tutorials, we did a couple of vowels, and they're written after the consonant, like English. So if we do a silent consonant, the long R vowel goes after the consonant, and the short A sign goes after the consonant, and the Mahanagat vowel goes above the consonant. There are a couple of Thai vowels we haven't done yet that go below, and the two I introduced today get written at the front. So they're actually written before the consonant but pronounced after the consonant, if that makes any sense. So what I'll do now is get Pom to write some Thai words using the consonants and vowels I introduced today and the ones from previous tutorials, and then we'll do some reading practice. Okay, so here we have the short AI sound, my muan. This is a K from today, and this is an R from a previous tutorial. And these two consonants actually form a consonant cluster. And so the vowel is written before the consonant, but pronounced afterwards. So it makes a cry sound. I'll get Pom to say that so you get the right tone.
Cry, cry, cry.
And that word in Thai means who. Let's go on to the next one. Again, we've got the short I vowel, the gorgai from the first tutorial, and we have to swap those around for pronunciation, and we get a low gai. So get Pom to say that.
Gai, gai, gai.
Okay, that means chicken. Change the word again. We'll put one of the K's in from today. So now we have a short I vowel and a K. So the basic sound is kai, and we need to get the tone right.
Kai, kai, kai.
And that word means egg. Now the next word is a bit more complicated, but it does in fact use all the vowels and consonants that we've done already. There's nothing new here. Okay, so we have the gorgai from the first tutorial, and when I taught Rorua, the R consonant, I did mention that in some cases it's used as a vowel. So if you see two of these together without a final consonant, it just makes an un sound. So we have gun. Here we have the short I vowel, and again we have the gorgai G and the R, which makes a consonant cluster. So we just move that over to here, and we get the basic sound of gun grai. I'll get Pom to say that.
Gun grai, gun grai, gun grai.
And that word means scissors in Thai. Now in Thailand, you will see the metric system of measurement, the imperial system of measurement, and Thais also have their own system of measurement. If you buy land or it's basically land, you will see Thais use the measurement rai, which is equivalent to 600 square meters, and that's what this word says. So we have the short I again, and then an R consonant, and swap those round for pronunciation.
Rai, rai, rai.
So you see there the two vowels that we did today have exactly the same sound, that short I. There is actually one more way that Thais can write a short I, and you've probably heard of the city of Sukhothai. It was the Thai capital before Bangkok and Ayutthaya. There's still lots of old ruined temples, and it's a very attractive place. The final syllable on Sukhothai is also a short I, but it's written a different way. It uses the Mahanagat vowel that we did previously and today's Y consonant. So this vowel and this consonant also make a short I sound. As I said in a previous tutorial, when talking about Thai vowels, there's normally a short and a long version. And just as there is a short I sound in Thai, there's also a long sort of I sound. And as usual, the transliteration system doesn't differentiate. So if it's a short I or a long I, the transliteration system just writes it as I, which I think is very misleading. So for the long I, we can use the Sara R vowel we did previously, and the Yor Yak consonant. And I'll give you an illustration of that. In Thailand, there's a very important concept of being sabai. This is like a feeling of well-being and contentment. There's no direct translation into English. It's more of a sort of feeling than a word. And if I get Pom to write sabai, the second syllable uses that long I. So I'll get her to pronounce it.
Sabai, sabai, sabai.
And if we compare that with a short I sound, let's do the one in chicken.
Sabai, sabai, sabai. Gai, gai, gai.
You should be able to differentiate between the long I and the short I. And these vowel lengths in Thai are quite important. Right, next, onto some reading practice using all the consonants and vowels that we've learned so far. So I'll get Pom to write some words and pronounce them for you. This is the first one. By this stage, you should almost be doing this yourself. So you'll see we've got the Y consonant, and then the long Sara A, Ya.
Ya, ya, ya.
And that means drug or medicine. If I just add the gorgai on the back, which is an unreleased K, as a final consonant.
Yak, yak, yak.
That word means difficult in Thai. I'll change it again slightly. I'll take off that gorgai and just add a tone mark here. Sorry, wrong position. The tone mark always goes after the initial consonant.
Ya, ya, ya.
Now, you should have heard that word was different for the Thai word for medicine. And this is the Thai word for paternal grandmother. The Thai system for naming relatives is a lot more complicated than English. There's different names for relatives depending on whether they're on the mother's or father's side. If they're older or younger, it gets quite confusing. I'll change this again slightly. Take off the tone mark. Put that Yor Yak on the back.
Yai, yai, yai.
And this is the word for a maternal grandmother. If I take off the front Yor Yak and put on one of the K consonants we did today.
Kai, kai, kai.
That's the Thai word to sell. And if you add that to one of the other words that we just did, I'll get Pom to write it again. Ya, kai, ya. So this, if you remember, Ya was medicine, So kaya is to sell medicine. And in Thailand, there are thousands of pharmacies, and you will see signs saying this word absolutely everywhere you go. Very, very, very common. Let's change it again. So in front of the long I sound, we'll put the go guy again.
Gai, gai, gai.
This word means body, but it's quite unusual. The word that is normally used is dua. And the reason for that is that Thai is almost like two languages. There's an informal language that is used every day, and there's a formal language. And the vocabulary is very different. This is one of the problems with reading, that written Thai tends to be quite formal, yet when you speak every day, you use informal language. So when you start reading, you start to come across a lot of vocabulary that you've not come across before. Okay, a bit more writing practice. We'll put the raw consonant on the front now. You can get Pom to pronounce it.
Rai, rai, rai.
Okay, I hope again that it hasn't been too confusing. I'm always a bit concerned of these tutorials. I'm going to go a bit too fast or do a bit too much and leave people behind. That's not the intention. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get back to you. And the next tutorial will be coming soon.